Hey folks, Jason Pound here with Jerica Pound Realty Group. We are a real estate team with Keller Mulinix in Norman, Oklahoma. We service the Moore, Norman, and South Oklahoma City area in particular. We also service the entire Metro Oklahoma City area as needed. We recently looked at a study identifying the top 50 questions that buyers are asking right now. And the third question on the list is, how much down payment do I actually need? I'm going to answer that very quickly for you. Jerica, my wife, says that I over-explain things, so I'll try to avoid doing that. This could easily be a 1-hour discussion. I love to be accurate in my numbers. I'm a numbers dork. First of all, I want to point out, notice I'm recycling paper here. I want to point out, in a real estate transaction, there are 3 types of costs. There's down payment, there's closing costs, and there's out-of-pocket costs. A down payment is called skin in the game. Underwriters want to know how much skin you're willing to have in the game to purchase the property. Closing costs are items that you have to pay for to actually execute a transaction. Different states and different studies say different things, but anything from 25 to 50 professionals are going to touch your file in the process of closing on a real estate transaction, and every single one of those individuals has to be paid. So that's where closing costs come from, is you're paying people for their time. And then finally, the third thing on the list, out-of-pocket expenses. There are particular items that cannot be paid at the closing table, so they have to be paid out of pocket in real time as they happen. For example, an appraisal. A bank is not willing to lend money unless the home appraises for high enough for it to be worth the loan. Well, an appraiser is not going to do it unless they are paid. They're not going to wait till closing, and the deal may or may not close. They want their funds for their time, whether or not the deal closes. That is an example of an out-of-pocket cost in a real estate transaction. For the purposes of this video, I am only focusing on down payment and answering the very simple question, how much down payment do I actually need to purchase a house? First response, for your primary home, if you are buying a home to live in it, and that is where you are going to live, move, and have your being, so to speak, the absolute minimum that you need to have is 0%. There are programs. Notice we put an asterisk besides 0%. There are certain qualifications you have to meet. You can't make too much money. You can't make too little money. You might have to live in a certain county or a certain part of the metro. There are many, many, many programs available. One of my favorite programs is a loan by the USDA, where the government is trying to encourage people to buy homes out in the rural areas where populations are not as large. And there are 0% down programs. There are also programs for the metro area. We have preferred lenders that we work with that have access to those programs. If you're interested, reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to put you in contact with an expert. In general, though, most people tend to put down 3.5% when they are purchasing a home. If you have not saved up 3.5%, you can still potentially purchase a home with a 0% down payment. Just realize there are still closing costs and there are still out-of-pocket costs. So it doesn't mean you're ready to buy a home just because you have $0 saved up. If you want to have a deeper conversation on that, reach out to me. I'm probably going to be making a video on that topic in the near future anyway. What if you want to buy a second home or a vacation home? Typically it's 10%. Many people will put down more than 10% because you are penalized with your rate and your payment and your terms when you don't have as much skin in the game. But the absolute minimum amount that most investors are willing to lend you money at is if you have a 10% down payment. So for example, you're buying a $100,000 cottage at the lake, you are expected to put down $10,000 skin in the game. You're also going to have closing costs and you're going to have out-of-pocket expenses. So don't forget that. What about the third type of home? An investment property. I'm putting 2 things here. An investment property is like you're purchasing it to do long-term rentals, or you're purchasing it to flip it, or you're purchasing it for short-term rentals, such as Airbnb or something like that. Typically, you want to put down a minimum of 20%, and depending on the interest rates, you may even put down more to do what's called cash flow. For many people, they are not willing to purchase a property if they can't rent it out at a profit. The absolute minimum amount that you can put down to purchase one of these investment properties is 15%, but it is more than likely that the rents you are making are not enough to cover the taxes, the insurance, the interest, and the principal payment, and you will not be making money on a monthly basis. The people who are willing to put down these lower down payment amounts are the people who believe that the home is going to go up in value over a certain period of time, and they intend to sell that property. Not necessarily a flip, because most people, when they flip, they're trying to do it in 6 to 8 months or less. Your professional flippers are trying to do it every 90 days. However, there are a lot of folks from California, from Texas, that are noticing that homes are so much cheaper in the Oklahoma City metro area, and they are willing to purchase investment properties and take a short-term loss, saying they're renting it for $200 less a month than it actually cost them to hold the property, and somebody else is making all the payments and they're just coming up $200 short. So in their mind, they're paying $200 a month, about a motorcycle payment, $200 a month to own an asset that's going to drastically go up in value over time. So there are logical reasons to be in that situation where you're not making money on a month-to-month basis, but you know in 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, you're going to sell at a massive profit. So in short, how much money do you actually need saved up for a down payment to buy a house? It depends on what type of house you're buying. If it's your primary house, you need $0. If it's a second home, an investment home, you need 10% of the purchase price. And finally, if it's going to be an investment property, the minimum you typically need is 15%. I hope I've been of value to you today. Be safe, my friends. Peace.